Well, the Houston City Council has approved new restrictions on the city's homeless population and new boundaries for panhandlers. The ordinance gives the homeless until May 12th to take down tents beneath city overpasses and remove the grills and clutter that come along with them. Now, in addition, council passed a measure restricting panhandlers from soliciting money from roadway medians. Is this a good idea, or is it infringing on people's freedom? That's our topic this half hour. Joining us now is Fox 26 legal analyst Chris Tritico, Democratic media consultant Mustafa Tamiz, and Republican strategist and former chair of the Harris County GOP, Jared Woodfill.
Hey, good morning. Thank you. You know, this issue has come up before. As I recall, years and years ago, they passed this same type of ordinance. It was overturned, as I recall. Jared Woodfill, we've been dealing with this for years and years and years. It seems that to live in a home.
Well, you know, actually you have two issues here. You have the Panhandling Ordinance, and then you have the Feeding Ordinance that we've been dealing with recently in the courts. The Panhandling Ordinance, there's obviously a big public safety concern when you have someone in the middle of the highway soliciting money.
That I get. That I get. You can keep people from going into the middle of the road to solicit money, but I'm talking about living under a median.
Right. And I think that, though, is an issue, too, from a public safety perspective. You're driving at night, and there's someone living under a median. Who's to say you don't accidentally hit them when they're walking across the road? That's dangerous. And so I think it's very important that we look out for not only the safety of that individual, but the safety of the drivers who are going about every single day.
What about this? You've got people that are homeless for a whole lot of reasons, and mental health issues, drug issues. They just don't have a job, and government says, I don't care what the issue is, you have to have a home somewhere, get out from under this bridge.
Well, look, I've been working with Mayor Turner and Coalition for the Homeless and other groups that believe that we have to give people dignity. And the best way to give them dignity is to find a comprehensive way to get them off the street, figure out if they have a mental health issue, figure out what kind of needs they have, rather than, you know, we all feel good by giving $1 to somebody, but then that just perpetuates it. So the best way to deal with this is to give to those causes that are supporting the homeless.
Well, that's not what this ordinance. That's not what this ordinance is doing, though. I mean, the ordinance is saying get out from under the bridge, stop panhandling, go somewhere else. Isn't that what this ordinance is doing?
Well, the ordinance says that, but the mayor has rolled out a comprehensive plan to deal with those other issues. And so part of that is the ordinance, but there's a very detailed plan that helps people get off the street and give them the need assessment that they need. And look, we have to deal with people in a way that we're giving them dignity, and part of that is putting a system together that helps them rather than just perpetuates this by just giving money on the streets.
And what about that? I mean, where do they go if there's nowhere for them? They don't have the ability to rent a hotel room, rent a room somewhere.
I think he's right. It's part of a larger plan to get them off the street, to get them into shelters, because a lot of these issues, a lot of these individuals are struggling with mental health issues, addictions, or maybe they're just having a tough time financially. So we need to address each one of these unique needs and provide a place for them to stay. I think it's important upon charities and churches to get involved in this process and to help these people in their it's their time of need, their time of crisis. We need to step up and be there for them.
So let's talk about there was a lawsuit filed Friday, I think, dealing with the feeding ordinance that was passed under Anise Parker's, when she was the mayor, banning feeding if you didn't have certain licenses. That was filed Friday, attacking that ordinance, which really falls right in, dovetails right with this.
It does, because that is part of a larger system. I mean, it was ridiculous that Mayor Parker put that into place. These are churches. These are charitable groups that are trying to help feed these people out of the kindness of their heart. They're not getting paid. They're not benefiting from it. So it's part of this larger system that Mustafa was describing. This needs to be incorporated. Mayor Parker's feeding ban needs to be lifted and gone, and I hope it's successful and defeated in the courts.
What about that?
Many of the people that were the churches that were feeding have the ones that have come to the city leaders to say, look, this is not working, because there's just, when you start feeding somebody, you feed them there, but then they're there the entire day because they're expecting some other service, and they have no ability to provide those other services like Jared was saying. They don't have the ability to provide needs assessment for mental health issues and other things. So it perpetuates the problem. And so the right thing to do is to do all the things that are necessary to help Houstonians that are on the the streets to get off the street, and these ordinances are just part of that.
So you're working with the mayor on this. Is a part of the greater plan, if we're going to move them out from under the bridges, we're not going to let them collect money panhandling, which I personally agree with the panhandling part of this, but we're not going to let them collect money. Does a part of the mayor's plan to find housing for people and mental health services for people and drug rehabilitation? What is the plan?
Those are the different components of the plan. You just outlined them, because
I could be the mayor.
Chris sure to go for mayor. Right here, right here.
First, breaking news this Easter Sunday.
Look, this is a thoughtful way and a detailed way to do that, but unfortunately it doesn't come out in a soundbite, right? And it's in multiple pieces, so these ordinances are part of a larger plan to get this stuff done, and I think Houstonians need to get behind it rather than look for like what's the problem, but how can we help?
Okay, we got less than a minute. If it doesn't come out in pieces, as Mustafa said, and I agree with that, shouldn't you have the housing component rolled out before you pass the ordinance that says you can't live under my bridge anymore?
Well, I think let's break it up into a couple sections. Right, one, you can't live under the bridge from a public safety perspective. Two, I think we need to start feeding right now. Get rid of the feeding ban right away. People got to eat every single day, so it doesn't make sense to say we're not going to allow churches to help feed people until we get all these other services in place. And so I think the process he described is fine and dandy, but you don't stop us from feeding people right now.
Okay, we're almost out of time. Does this all roll back to the state of Texas and the federal government rolling back services for mental health and housing for years and years and years?
Well, look, I mean, we hope that the budget that President Trump has given is not the budget that goes on, because it is completely heartless, taking money away from, you know, Meals on Wheels type programs. So we need to come together and make this.
We're going to leave it right there. We'll be back in about 15, 20 minutes with another really good topic.